Lipid metabolism. Now all animals and all plants have the ability to synthesize triacylglycerol. Now in case of animals, many cell types and organs are able to synthesize triacylglycerol. But in synthesizing triacylglycerol, liver and intestines are the most active organs. That is, liver and intestine majorly synthesizes the triacylglycerol. Now in all cell types, even in the brain cells, the triacylglycerol is stored as cytoplasmic lipid droplets. Okay, these cytoplasmic lipid droplets are also known as fat globules, oil bodies, lipid particles, adiposomes. Okay, these are the other names of this cytoplasmic lipid droplets. And this triacylglycerol in all cell types, okay, even in the brain cell, is stored as cytoplasmic lipid droplets. Now this cytoplasmic lipid droplets are enclosed by a monolayer of phospholipid and hydrophobic proteins. And the example of hydrophobic proteins that enclose this cytoplasmic lipid droplets are the perilipins found in adipose tissue and oleosins found in seeds. Okay, so this cytoplasmic lipid droplets are enclosed by monolayer of phospholipids and hydrophobic proteins. Now this biosynthesis of triacylglycerol, there are two main biosynthetic pathways by which you can do biosynthesis of triacylglycerol. Okay, these two main biosynthetic pathways are SN-glycerol 3-phosphate pathway and the second one is monoacylglycerol pathway. Now this SN-glycerol 3-phosphate pathway mainly predominates in liver and adipose tissue. In liver and adipose tissue, the biosynthesis of triacylglycerol happens by SN-glycerol 3-phosphate pathway, and this monoacylglycerol pathway occurs in intestine. Okay, so in liver and adipose tissue there is SN-glycerol 3-phosphate pathway, and in case of intestine there is monoacylglycerol pathway. Now this SN-glycerol 3-phosphate pathway is the most important and it is also known as Kennedy pathway. So this is how the biosynthesis of the triacylglycerol looks like. You start with glycerol 3-phosphate and on that glycerol 3-phosphate acetyltransferase enzyme acts and lysophosphatidic acid is produced, and on this acylglycerophosphate acetyltransferase enzyme acts, and after that phosphatidic acid is produced, and on this phosphatidic acid phosphohydrolase enzyme acts, and then this diacylglycerol is produced, and on this diacylglycerol acetyltransferase enzyme acts, and that leads to the synthesis of triacylglycerol. So glycerol 3-phosphate, lysophosphatidic acid, phosphatidic acid, diacylglycerol and triacylglycerol. This is how the triacylglycerol biosynthetic pathway looks like. Now let's read about digestion and transport. Now the digestion and transport of lipids produces a unique problem. Okay, as the lipids are insoluble in water, it's quite problematic to digest and transport them. Now the enzymes that digest lipids are either water soluble proteins or they are membrane proteins which are present at the aqueous interface. So yeah, water soluble proteins and the membrane proteins are the enzymes which digest the lipids. The lipids and the products of lipids, that is the thing that you get after the digestion, must be transported through aqueous compartments, and they are transported in cell, in blood and in the tissue spaces. So it is necessary to transport them through the aqueous compartment. Release of fatty acids from the stored triacylglycerol of the adipose cell. Now, fats are the important energy reserves of the organism. Now, in case of animals, fats are stored in the insoluble form in the cells of adipose tissue. Okay, in the adipose tissue, you will find fats in the insoluble form, and in this adipose tissue, in the cells of adipose tissue, the fats are being constantly synthesized and broken down. Now, the hydrolysis of triacylglycerols by this enzyme lipases is known as lipolysis. Okay, lipolysis is the process of hydrolysis of triacylglycerol, and that hydrolysis of triacylglycerol is catalyzed by this enzyme lipases. Okay, this is lipolysis. Now, these triacylglycerols of the adipose tissue are converted to free fatty acids and glycerol under the influence of these hormones, that is epinephrine, norepinephrine, and glucagon. Okay, this under the influence of these hormones, the triacylglycerol, which is stored in the adipose tissue, is being converted into free fatty acids and glycerol. Now, this hormone sensitive lipase, which is also known as TAG lipase, initiates the process of breaking down your triacylglycerol into fatty acids and glycerol. Now, the free fatty acids which are produced by the digestion of these stored triacylglycerols are released into the blood. And in blood, this free fatty acid binds to the serum albumin. Now, this albumin is a monomeric protein, okay, to which this free fatty acid binds, and this albumin contributes about half of the blood serum protein. Okay, in blood serum, half of the protein is albumin. So this is how the overall process looks like. Okay, this is how the breaking down of glycerol, triacylglycerol looks like. Okay, so this is your triacylglycerol. On this, TAG lipase enzyme acts and a free fatty acid is released. Okay, and then DAG lipase acts, then again a free fatty acid is released, and then MAG lipase acts, and the last fatty acid that is attached, that is also released, and then you are left with 3 fatty acids and 1 glycerol molecule. Okay, that is how the liberation of fatty acids from triacylglycerol in adipose tissue looks like. Release of fatty acids from dietary triacylglycerols. Now, most dietary triacylglycerols are digested by this enzyme known as pancreatic lipases, and this happens in the intestinal lumen. So in the intestinal lumen, there is this enzyme pancreatic lipases which digest most of the dietary triacylglycerols. Although this process of digestion of triacylglycerols begins in the stomach. Okay, in stomach there are two enzymes, lingual lipase and gastric lipase. The lingual lipase is released by the serous gland, and the gastric lipase is produced by the chief cells. Now, this pancreatic lipase cleaves the fatty acids which are attached to C1 and C3 position of triacylglycerol. And when the fatty acid at C1 and C3 position of triacylglycerol are being cleaved by this pancreatic lipase, it results in the formation of monoacylglycerols. Okay, now in monoacylglycerol, the fatty acid is attached to C2 position, and at C1 and C3 there is no fatty acid because that has been cleaved by this enzyme. So this monoglycerols, in which there is a fatty acid molecule at the C2 position, This fatty acid molecule at the C2 position is being hydrolyzed by intestinal lipase. Okay, so your pancreatic lipase are cleaving the fatty acids which are at C1 and C3 position, and the fatty acid at the C2 position is hydrolyzed by the intestinal lipase. So two enzymes are working here, pancreatic lipase and intestinal lipase. So before the hydrolytic activity of the lipase, there is emulsification of triacylglycerol. First, you do emulsification of the triacylglycerol, and then this emulsified triacylglycerol is subjected to hydrolytic activity of the lipase. In the intestinal lumen, the bile salts act on triacylglycerol. Now, these bile salts are detergent substances. Bile salts are synthesized by liver and they are stored in gallbladder. They are detergent substances. Bile salts have both hydrophobic surfaces as well as hydrophilic surfaces. Now this bile salt is made up of two things, okay, bile acid and associated cation. Okay, bile acid such as cholic acid and an associated cation is what makes a bile salt. Now this bile salt is a detergent. Okay, it emulsifies lipids, and bile salt yields micelles. Okay, it is a detergent. The lipids are emulsified by bile salts, and it results in the formation of micelles. And there are water soluble digestive enzymes. Okay, these water soluble digestive enzymes digest the emulsified lipid and they facilitate the absorption of lipid in the intestinal mucosal cells. Okay, the absorption of lipids in the intestinal mucosal cells is being facilitated by this water soluble digestive enzyme, which also digests this emulsified lipids. Now, these bile salts facilitate the lipid digestion and they are also essential in the absorption of lipid digestion product. Bile salts are essential for the absorption of lipid digestion product as well as they facilitate the lipid digestion by emulsifying the lipids. Fat digestion product. Okay, when you digest the fat, then you get a mixture of glycerol free fatty acids, monoacylglycerols and diacylglycerols. Okay, this kind of mixture you get when you digest the fat. Okay, these are the fat digestion product is nothing but a mixture of these things. Now, less than 10% of the original triacylglycerol remain unhydrolyzed. Okay, when you are hydrolyzing the triacylglycerols, then less than 10% just remain unhydrolyzed. Now, during the absorption through intestinal mucosal cells, there is resynthesis of triacylglycerols, and this resynthesis occurs via hydrolysis product. Okay, you utilize these hydrolysis products and that are being used in the resynthesis of triacylglycerols, and this happens during absorption through intestinal mucosal cells. Now this resynthesis process, okay, resynthesis of triacylglycerols occurs in the endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi complex of the mucosal cells. Okay, in the endoplasmic reticulum and in the Golgi complex of this mucosal cells, there is a resynthesis of triacylglycerols from the hydrolysis product. Now, triacylglycerol is packed with cholesterol and apolipoproteins, and that forms a lipoprotein aggregate, and that is known as chylomicrons. Okay, chylomicrons is what? It is a lipoprotein aggregate which is formed when triacylglycerol is packed with cholesterol and apolipoproteins. Now, these lipoproteins are spherical particles. Okay, the central core of the lipoprotein is made up of non-polar lipids. such as cholesterol esters and triacylglycerols. And the surface monolayer of lipoproteins is made up of phospholipids, free cholesterol, and apolipoproteins. Okay, it has two parts, central core and surface monolayer. The central core is made up of non-polar lipids such as cholesterol esters and triacylglycerol, whereas the surface monolayer is made up of phospholipids, free cholesterol, and apolipoproteins. Now, these lipoproteins are classified according to their densities. Okay, lipoproteins are classified into chylomicrons, then VLDL, that is very low density lipoproteins, then IDL, that is intermediate density lipoprotein, and then there is this HDL, that is high density lipoprotein. Okay, so these are the classifications of lipoproteins, and that is based on their densities. Now these chylomicrons move through lymphatic systems and blood vascular system, and they go to tissue. Okay, chylomicrons reach tissue via lymphatic system and blood vascular system. Now in the capillaries of this lymphatic system and blood vascular system, there is lipoprotein lipase. Okay, lipoprotein lipase, this enzyme is present in capillaries. Now this lipoprotein lipase converts the triacylglycerol component of the chylomicrons into the fatty acids and glycerol. Okay, this triacylglycerol component is converted into fatty acids and glycerol by the lipoprotein lipase. Now the fatty acid which is produced, this fatty acid then enter the cells in the tissues, and in the cell these fatty acids are oxidized as a fuel, or they are re-esterified for storage. Okay, either the fatty acid is oxidized as a fuel and you obtain energy from it, or if you don't need energy, then you re-esterify it and you store it for further use. Now let's look at the overview of processing of dietary lipids. Now first there is emulsification of these dietary lipids, and this is done with the help of bile salts. And this emulsification of dietary lipids with the help of bile salts occur in the small intestine. Okay, in the small intestine there is emulsification of dietary lipids with the help of bile salts. That is how it is started. After that there is digestion of triacylglycerols. Okay, and this is done by the enzyme intestinal lipases. Then fatty acids and other breakdown products are absorbed by the intestinal mucosa, and these fatty acids and other breakdown products are again then reconverted into triacylglycerol. Okay, they are absorbed by the intestinal mucosa and then they are reconverted to triacylglycerol. Then these triacylglycerols are then incorporated into chylomicrons. After that, okay, after the triglycerols get incorporated into chylomicrons, these chylomicrons move through the lymphatic system and through blood vascular system, and they reach the tissues. Okay, chylomicrons then move to the tissues through this lymphatic system and blood vascular system. Now in the capillaries, as you know, there is lipoprotein lipase. Okay, now this lipoprotein lipase enzyme converts the triacylglycerol of the chylomicron into fatty acid and glycerol. Now the fatty acid generated here then enters the cell. So that's an overview, okay, of processing of dietary lipids. Now this triacylglycerols are transported in the bloodstream as lipoproteins. Okay, they are transported in the bloodstream as lipoproteins. Now these dietary triacylglycerols are packed into chylomicrons. Okay, they are packed into chylomicrons. Now most triacylglycerol content is released by the action of lipoprotein lipase into the adipose tissue and muscle tissue while transportation through capillaries. Okay, when this triacylglycerol content is transporting through capillaries, then on them the lipoprotein lipase acts, and then this most triacylglycerol content is released into adipose tissue and muscle tissues. So yeah, lipoprotein lipase acts on the triglycerol content while transportation through capillaries, and due to which the most of the triacylglycerol content is released in adipose tissue and muscle tissue. The fatty acid which is taken up by the muscle cells is used for energy generation, whereas the fatty acid which is taken up by the adipose cells is used for the storage. Okay, in muscle cell the fatty acid is used for energy generation, and in adipose cells the fatty acid is used for storage. Now the chylomicron remnants, okay, after you utilize the fatty acid, there are some chylomicrons remnants which are made up of mostly protein and cholesterol. Those are taken up by liver. Okay, the chylomicron remnants are taken up by liver via a receptor mediated endocytosis. Okay, liver does the receptor mediated endocytosis of the chylomicron remnants, which mostly contain proteins and cholesterols. Now endogenous triacylglycerol and cholesterol, okay, these two molecules which are synthesized by the liver are delivered to the adipose tissue and to the muscle tissue in the form of VLDL. Okay, VLDL is delivered to the adipose tissue and muscle tissue. Okay, very low density lipoproteins in the form of very low density lipoproteins. This endogenous triacylglycerols and cholesterols are delivered to the adipose tissue and to the muscle tissue, which are being synthesized by the liver. So from liver it goes in the form of VLDL to the adipose tissue and to the muscle tissue. Now the depletion of triacylglycerol from the VLDL along with the loss of some apolipoproteins gradually converts it into IDL. Okay, the triacylglycerol is then gradually converted into IDL. Now this IDL particles have two fates. Okay, either they are cleared by liver by LDL receptor, or they are further converted into LDL by hepatic lipase, that is HTGL. Okay, they can either be cleared by liver or they can be fully further converted into LDL. Okay, then IDL particles with the help of LDL receptors are cleared by liver, or hepatic lipase will act on this IDL particles and it will be further converted into LDL. Okay, IDL is converted into LDL by hepatic lipase. Now this IDL is the main cholesterol bearing lipoprotein in the plasma. Now this LDL, that is low density lipoprotein, are cleared by circulation with the help of LDL receptors, which are expressed 70% in liver and 30% in other cells. Okay, these LDL receptors are expressed 70% in liver and 30% in other cells, and these LDL receptors help to clear LDL via circulation. So this is how it looks like. VLDL is converted to IDL with the help of LPL, and then this IDL is converted to LDL by HTGL.